different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Come, build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Whether it's a new home, a renovation, or a DIY project, we're here to make it happen. That's why we say, build with us. From foundation to finish, come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're not just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hostels.
What are you doing?
She said, drink a root boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, she said, drink a root boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, cause when we out and we active, living we life. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. Oh, Miss Lady, anyway you see we building up our vibes. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. So when we drink, we drinking. Root boy. Why?
This Christmas, add postpaid for a festive win-win. We're gifting you a 50-inch smart TV or a $400 Amazon gift card. When you add a Flow postpaid mobile plan to your home internet, you can celebrate the most wonderful time of the year with a big screen or big shopping. Let us upsize your TV or clear your Amazon cart. Either way, you come out on top. Add postpaid to internet today for your festive win-win. Visit discoverflow.co for more info. Terms and conditions apply.
And a pleasant good day to you and yours. And welcome to another presentation of Island Tea for today. And I know yesterday I told you that Cortensia should be in today, but that was my mistake because when I got off air and I looked again at my notes, I realized that she had already informed me that she would be off on the 6th and the 7th. So that was my mistake there. So I'm here with you again, and will be for the duration of this show. Fortunately, though, the telephone lines are working today, and so I should not be on my own solitaire. So thanks at least for that. Now, there's so much happening in and around the region presently, and I am kind of saying to myself, can it get any worse than it is? It is playing out. Because now you're hearing that our citizenship by investment is going to morph. It seems as if though the new citizenship by investment is citizenship by way of criminality, incorporating criminals into your society. And I ask myself, how low will our Caribbean leaders stoop in trying to acquiesce, in trying to genuflect, in trying to bow, and absolve themselves of really working to bring development to our economies? You hear recently of Antigua saying that they haven't signed off on anything as yet because there's begun to be a sort of uproar within the Antiguan society. And it again brings back the question, why don't our leaders tell us about these things before? Come to us, say, look, this is a proposal, and I'm telling you straight up, we're not even going to entertain it, but just letting you know, this is one of the things that has been proposed to our region recently. And the reason why you need to do that is if you don't do that, then your citizens are not aware of the nefarious and degrading things that Big Brother and the West tries to impose upon you and your people. So history will not have it documented. You must go to your people and state it so that it is documented in history, so that when the youths come and they look back, they can see, okay, so this is a new thing. This is a trend. This is what they tend to do. Okay. So don't you find it rather interesting that just after Antigua, among other countries in the Caribbean region, has been said to be a part of some drug running culture, then you hear there's a proposal for criminals to come into that proximity. And here's the thing. Why are we wanting to accept people when Europe doesn't want them? The entire Europe, vast Europe, the United States doesn't want them. The entire United States, vast, big United States, and their own countries don't want them. I mean, shouldn't those be enough red flags for you to understand and to say, why do they want us to take what they don't want? Should we? Well, I think not. Simple as that. But no, you're going to be entertaining this thing to the extent when it ripples out and your people start making an uproar, then you say, well, we haven't signed off on anything. Hello, caller. Okay, lost that caller, but feel free to call back and we can engage. I would admonish you that you can bring any topic to the fore, but I would like that whatever topic you bring to the fore, it somehow ties into a part of what we are discussing, okay? So you can bring whatever you want, like I said, but morph it into the discussion if you can. If you can't and it is something different, then you can do that. But I would prefer that you, if you have a topic and you can blend it with the discussion, do so. Hello, caller.
Grand Rising, Quint.
Good day to you.
Grand Rising to the listeners. Quint, let me continue on the topic of fear.
Yes.
Now, what is happening in our space, Quint? I've been doing some deep analysis of what is happening in our present day and what has happened and what is written.
Let me interject for a bit and let you know that occasionally, depending on how the phone lines go, you might still be on the phone, but I might have to have someone else you link with
Got
you.
you, Quint. Yeah, I've been following that. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Go ahead.
Now, Quint, yeah, we can look at history and we can look at our present day and we can go as, for me, I kind of morph, I'm using your word, morph the events with what is in the scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Now it begs the question, Quint, and follow me in this because, as we know, in the scripture, God stretched out his hand and God took life in the scriptures. God did all what God did to a people in a time and space who were wicked, doing wickedly. God commanded, go and kill these people, kill mothers, children, animals, sucklings. God did all that in the Old Testament, Quint. God even flooded the planet to get rid of wickedness. Now, when you look at what is happening today, the question becomes, where is God now in all of this? But to make things palatable for us, they say, oh, Jesus came to fulfill the law. We are no longer under the law. We are under grace. You see these words that they put in their literature is to keep us docile, is to keep us passive. And then when you look at what is happening today, Quint, the Christian community is not acting, they continue praying.
Yeah.
Praying.
Mm-hmm.
And then most of the Christian people would say, well, God is long-suffering. God is, I'm trying to remember a word my elder used to me on air, compassionate. When they tell us that we must turn the other cheek, pray not for those who can kill the flesh. Pray for he who can destroy both body and spirit. Now, the question that Journey want to put out there, Quint, God in the Bible is a spirit. Now, who can say that they have seen a spirit kill? In all the killing that was done by God in the book, who can say that they have seen a spirit? Are you following me, Quint?
Yes. Hold a second, just a brief second there. Hello, caller. Hello.
Good morning, Quinn.
Okay.
Good morning, Quinn. Good morning.
Would you hold and let Journey finish his comment, if you don't mind,
Yes,
or do you want to say what you have to
Journey,
say?
let Johnny proceed.
Okay, go ahead, Journey.
No, Quint, they also put in the text, and let me say Grand Rising to Mrs. Henry, because she's the one who said to me that she liked to, when she and I having our own personal conversation, Quint,
Yes.
Mrs. Henry would say, well, the God of this world has blinded their eyes, that they are now worshiping the creature than the creator. But Quint, let us look at this. The God of this world have blinded their eyes. God being a spirit who have killed in the biblical Bible, a spirit. Now a spirit, can anyone see a spirit? Can anyone hear a spirit? But Journey is saying that God is man and man is the devil. It's a matter of frequency, or if you're at your lowest state, ego, greed, hate, and all of that, or if you're of your higher self where your consciousness, your thoughts are vibrating with the frequency of the universe, the source where life and love came from. But to tell me that God, being a spirit, stretched out his hand in the Bible, and all the acts that were committed in the Bible was done by man. Now, when you look at what Trump has done, and Trump is doing, and America and Europe is doing mostly to the world and the inhabitants, now, who have violated nature? Who have violated us? We are not the violators. We were violated. And when you look at the footprints of America and Europe on this planet, are they not the gods of this world? But here we are as an African people, regurgitating European vomit and their literature, which have become psychology on our mind to keep us controlled. Many of our callers, Quint, call in and use the word control. But do they recognize the depths of what this system have placed us and gave us fear? False evidence appearing real. Well, we know it's not false because their actions are right at our backyard right now. And that's why yesterday I asked, should we I don't think it was yesterday. I didn't get in yesterday.
Yeah, whenever.
Quint, the word fear, we need to pontificate on this word deeply. Because Journey is saying that my reality is my realization. Now, yes, I am reading the book.
Bear in mind, Journey.
Yeah.
I want you to continue your statement, but bear in mind that you have another caller.
Okay, I'm sorry about that, Quint. But
yes, go ahead.
I want us to come out of the box. They have placed us in a box to keep us passive and docile. And we have tolerated their wickedness. Quint, I'll pause for now and let the gentleman there share his view.
Yes, you're not going to hang up, though. You're going to hang up?
Well, I have to get ready for work,
okay,
Quint, so I would listen, but yeah,
okay.
we have to hang up.
I was just reminding you that, remember, even after hanging up, you can always call back in if you get a choice.
Yeah, I'll try that.
Okay. Hello, caller. Go ahead.
Yes. Good morning, Quint.
And I forgot to say Happy New Year to Journey. So, Journey, if you're listening, Happy New Year to you, and Happy New Year to the caller, and Happy New Year to all of you who are tuned in. All the best for the new year.
Okay.
Go ahead, caller.
May I proceed?
Yes.
Well, Quint, I am going to say, blessed, happy New Year to all the citizens, the humans of the world, and narrow it down to blessings to all the citizens of the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis. First of all, my brother Quint, what is decisions and what is a decision maker who appointed to represent a group and or a nation? First of all, communication is the most vital importance of any kind of dialogue. And here we have leaders. Yes, you have to listen to what has been put forth towards you. What? How are you going to digest making a decision? And not a decision for just your home, for the nation, as I will reiterate. Now, when things brought before me, because I am the voice that was missing for a couple of weeks from the shows, because I take time to digest and reform myself in dialogue and moving forward. When things come before me, I listen, I study it, and I will give my humble opinion or my perspective. Now, I don't just jump to a decision when I hear someone come to me with something. Our leaders fail to understand that when they were put to represent the people, they have to go to the people with whatever come before them, because first at hand, whatever will come to them. They have to conjoin with the people who they are representing. And all these decisions that is made and has made by outer force, intervention, they should communicate with us, whether we are there in the island or whether we are abroad. We need to know, because our island is our island. Our patrimony is our patrimony. So our leaders failed us from all angles, shape, or form. Okay? Whether pressure or pressure not, speak to the people.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you this. What do you
Yes, sir.
think? What do you think? How do you feel about this new thing that we're hearing about, seeming to be citizenship by way of accepting criminals?
I disagree. They have to be vetted. They have to be vetted.
Who has to be vetted? Look,
The criminals.
look. You see, this is where you've been going good so far. Well, let me say this. I'm going to use a hypothetical. I am a prime minister of a country, a small country in the Caribbean. Let's say Booby Island, right? I have 50 people living with me. You know, Booby Island is very small. It could be
Yeah, I know
easily
that.
it could be easily contaminated. You know what happens in one neighborhood is going to affect almost everyone else. So Europe comes to me and says, Quint, I have a few criminals that I want to, we don't want them in our country, but we've made an agreement with them that we will send them to another place, and they have decided they will go to that other place and they will live tranquil lives. Do you accept them? Emphatically, no. And
No.
I don't want to vet anything. I would, if I
First of
do,
all-
look, if I do entertain a conversation, it will be, why don't you want them? You're big, you're vast. Can't you find a place in your big, vast proximity to put them? I mean, can't you find a place that is not inhabited and put them in and let them start some kind of society, and you have individuals in there to monitor them? And why you want to put them on my Booby Island? Okay, so that's Europe. Then the United States come with the same thing. I do not need to vet anything. They are criminals, and if they are, if they are such criminals that you don't want them, that is the key. You don't want them. You big Europe and you almighty USA don't want them, but you want to put them on my little Booby Island? No.
Quint, the reason why I said vetted, you uttered two words first: criminals and
Citizen-
rejection. Yes. First of all, criminals. Why would I accept criminals? And don't I need to know who are coming to my country?
No,
Or who
because
to
I
come
am
to my
saying,
country?
I am saying to
No,
you,
no.
I am saying to you, knowing, you see, we must be thinking way ahead. This is the problem. We think too slow. Look, we are only using 10% of this mighty brain that we have. This brain can move milliseconds. You understand? So this brain doesn't need to stop and go slow down and no. This brain, from the time even before you reach, there must have been some leakage that says, boy, Quinn, Europe and America are going to approach you with something about criminals. Well, you don't think my brains has already started working? Why have we been given a brain and we want to sit down on our brain? It seems as if our brain is in our posterior.
Well, Quint, thanks for that perspective. But first of all, I will not accept criminal into my country. What criminal in my country have to come from within? And if there are criminals developed in my country, we have to find a way to deal with them. Okay? So we must be decision makers and transparency to the people, because
And Mr.
decision
Welcome,
of a leader
Mr.
will
Welcome,
affect.
Mr.
Yes, sir.
Welcome, let me interject and let me say this to you. I find myself in a position where I'm always trying to give advice. Let me say to you, that as someone who wants to be a leader of this federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, I would admonish you always to think before you speak. If myself or anyone asks you a question, you do not have to rush to answer it, you know. This is one of the problems that we have as human beings. Someone asks you a question and you rush to answer it. Take a few seconds. Like I said, the brain is miraculously brilliant. It is swift. Take in that few seconds, you know how much you can have processed, and then you say, well, and you give your perspective. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, I am just focusing on the domestic side of St. Kitts and Nevis. I am laying off of the international side. We are small players, and my main goal is to satisfy all the people of the Federation, and that will come through transparency and not decision-making at first. Listen and transfer the information that is ahead of us, and to make a prosperous federation that will be fruitful to each and every citizen. Outside intervention, we must know when to say no, and we must know when to say yes, or I will think about it. And last but not least, yes.
Hold a second. Hello, caller.
Yes, hello?
Okay, I'm going to go back to Mr. Welcome. Let him finish his statement, if you don't mind.
Yes, sure, no problem.
Go ahead, Mr. Welcome.
Yes, so we have to be mindful of what is going on in our country that is affecting us, and correct it before we can step outside. We have a lot of work to do inside, and our leaders is the number one to work on, along with the party liners, because for this upcoming election, we have to get off the party line and look within ourselves to see and give a chance to the newbies, the independents, those who were there before us, the incumbents, and those who are trying to come back again. I will say they had their chance. Give a new breed a chance.
I kind of disagree with you. I'll tell you why. I kind of follow what you're saying, but I'm saying don't give the newbies a chance. Let the newbies come in and fight for what they want. Let them prove themselves.
I'm fighting.
Yes, let them prove themselves. This isn't any inheritance that you pass on. You understand? Perhaps that is the problem. One party just wants to pass it on to another individual in the party, and the individual who they pass it on to is not competent. If you want an example of that, look at what is happening to the United States of America right now with their leadership. You understand? The Republican Party, after having had a black man in the White House, they were so incensed, they were so angry that they grasped at anything, and they decided, put in this man. And you see the trajectory we're on now.
Well, that's everything in this world is a gamble, you know. You hope for the best. You still have to be mindful of expecting the worst. But when one makes a decision, you make it that the best will come, and it could be the worst. So
you don't make it when you're in a position of leadership. You don't make a decision and hope for the best. You make a decision and you work for it to work. You work for it to come to fruition. You don't make decisions and sit down and say, well, okay, let's see how it's going to play out. That's not leadership. I want you to wrap up your statement now because another caller is waiting.
Right there, and I will let my other colleague.
Go ahead. Okay, yeah. Beryl, go ahead.
Okay, yeah.
And a happy New Year to you, and yeah.
Yeah, happy New Year to you and happy New Year to all again.
Yes.
Okay, what you just spoke to just now is regression, right? Going backwards, right?
Yes.
And I agree with that point. We got to move to progress and advance, or to be better than the previous. And me personally, I am moving on the wrong and right. I am not on that party line. You know, the loyalists of these parties, they stay on the party line. They're not coming off the party line for the national issues. In light of what happened over the last weekend with the kidnapping of Maduro, our politicians in the
And
region have,
I'm glad you said kidnapping because it just irritates me when I hear the international media saying he was captured. The man was in his home with his wife. The man
yes, that's
the man
correct.
is a leader in his country. You sit out there and
A
you
sovereign
decide.
country.
You sit out there and you decide in your domain to move the legal system in your country, however you did it, whether you intimidated or them or whatever, to move them to designate this individual as a criminal and to say he's doing this, that. I mean, look at it. You just recently you're hearing that, oh, the name of the leader of Antigua and Barbuda is tied in with Maduro in this case in New York where they're facilitating drug running. But yet still, you're trying still to get that individual to accept criminals. Or doesn't that look fishy? So you threaten someone with something, and then you come and you say, well, we have some criminals. If you accept them, we'll sort of tone down on this thing about you being a criminal and so forth. And you're going to work with that. It's the question is
Yes.
whether you're a criminal or you're not. And I would like. I think I heard an individual this morning say they use a word. He was. They didn't say captured. They use a word, and it was a good word to use, meaning that he was taken away. You understand? And I'm glad you used that because that is what it is. If you want to be blunt, he was kidnapped. Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So in light of what happened over the weekend, right? Our politicians, I want to kind of bring this home, man. You know, we know how Trump is. What he didn't get done in his first term, he now has limited time to do what he wanted to do. We know how this man is and was and is still. And he now imposing what he thinks on the whole world. I really want to see if any country or denomination will not stand up to this man. That's what I want to see going forward.
But how are they going to stand up to him?
That's the big question.
Because all they can do, all they seem to do, is rhetoric. No one wants to put
Well,
sanctions. No one wants to put sanctions against the United States. No one wants to be bold enough to say, well, we are the rest of the world and you are the big almighty America, but if you want isolation, we are going to isolate you. We're not going to do this business. We're not going to do that. But none of them have anywhere withal to come and say, and this is where unity is important. And this is why I keep stressing unity in the Caribbean. Go ahead.
yeah, we need that unity very badly. Okay, Quinn, me personally, I am not a politician in St. Kitts Nevis. I ain't proclaimed that I'm going to be one yet. But locally in our federation, what I'm going to throw out there to you this morning is like this. Our politicians are put there to do a job, and they're getting paid. What else do they really want? The judicial system is corrupted. The AG and the deputy, they're not moving independent at all. Unless you hear from the deputy, the AG being, visible a little bit, I'm going to be honest. But when last we hear from the deputy, some of these guys are just collecting a paycheck. They're not really doing the work to advance the country. The stinky Nevis is stagnated. There is no changes coming.
Let me ask you. Let me ask you a question. I can understand where the AG or the Attorney General we should be seeing more of him, and in terms of the trajectory, the laws being implemented, and so on and so forth. But tell me, how do you expect the GPP or to show himself? In what vein? In what? How do you?
In the right in their field of work, in the judicial system and protecting the laws of the country. We've seen the DJ Marisha podcast where he had an issue down there with some public path to the beach, access to the beach. We ain't hearing none of these guys come out and talk about that yet. But the Prime Minister here is going to have a round table tomorrow. I wait and hear what he's going to say about the current issues, the development.
That is a very good point. That is a very good point, because this is that thing that is happening with those dogs and trying to curtail individuals moving within a proximity to our own beaches. Those are things that we need our legal jurisdiction to put some precise steps on. So that is a good point. I agree with you on that.
So the accountability of our politicians locally, I want to see some accountability. These guys are moving with money behind the scenes. They're taking the money and giving the big conglomerate loans, interest-free loans. What about our small businesses? And if the money is moving from the cookie jar, if somebody get caught, they need to be held accountable. Man, if you go on a job place and you get caught stealing and you get caught red-handed, you're going to be charged and disciplined.
Where does the stealing part come in? Because I want, when you make anyone makes statements, that it is clear as to what you're saying. We don't want to just throw things out there because they could they could.
Okay, they got to be held accountable. These the transparency got to come.
Okay.
If we have a bank, if we have a national bank, and somebody is running that bank, a CEO or whatever he is, right? And the SID has $10 million in that account, and $5 million is gone missing. Well, somebody must be held accountable for that money.
You're using a hypothetical, are you?
Yes, I am.
Well, when you're using hypothetical, state that you're using a hypothetical, because people might run away with that. $5 million has gone from the National Bank. Be very,
okay.
I want people, when you're speaking to me, be very clear on how you speak.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we're going to the Parliament budget setting right before the end of the year, and we heard that on top of some audit documents, there is $27 million was given to the Marriott conglomerate. That must be addressed. It must be addressed. There's no way we can just and then there was utterance in the Parliament that the Prime Minister himself left out a paragraph of a presentation that he was making. And he didn't state anything about the money. Like, this is a budget. So we have to be talking about money and the finances. You can't omit that one paragraph to have them figures inside of it.
How do you know that he omitted a paragraph?
That's what appears to be that happened in the Parliament. That the opposition leaders spoke about it.
Okay, so I want
It was presented in the Parliament.
Okay, I want clarity, so that is why I asked the question. Yes.
Yes, it was presented in Parliament by the opposition speakers. You're talking. Once upon a time, you was asking Welcome about the third-party country deportees. Once upon a time, I mentioned bringing in the Haitians when the Haitians then needed that help. Adjust your immigration policy, metering some of the Haitians who are our brothers and sisters, and they could have helped out with the agriculture sector.
Burl, that is a good point. That is a great point. You know why? Because whenever we speak about getting Haitians here, our people start to say, "Oh, so where you gonna put them? We can't find jobs." Blah blah blah. But you don't want the Haitians, but you will embrace criminals from other countries. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Go ahead.
And that's my point. That's my point. We what I'm saying is adjust the system, adjust your immigration policy, metering some slowly, and you set them up in temporary housing, and then you infuse them into the community eventually. You know what I mean?
Yes.
They could have made not only could they make a contribution in agriculture, but some of these people have skills and smarts as
A
well.
lot of these people are brilliant people, but
Yes.
we have tarnished them with a stigma, and the stigma is if you just say the name Haiti, that in itself seems to be a stigma.
So then the timeline after that, right? When I make that recommendation, is that Grantley went into the Parliament, the Federal House. He said he wants these economic citizens to come into the country. Then he started saying the population need to be increased, and then we heard the Prime Minister said something about the birth rate being less.
Yes,
Well, if it's such, move towards importing some people.
but
But yeah, that could
but
be a debate, yes, because
but hear this,
the
Burl.
police.
Hear this,
Yeah, go
Burl.
ahead.
I recently, just this morning, I was listening to a bit of news on another radio station in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, and a particular individual from Nevis was articulating what you just said about Mark Grantley saying that the population needs to be boosted, and our leader, our prime minister, saying that the birth rate is inclining. And he juxtaposed that. He asked, the question is, so is this citizenship by way of accepting criminals going to be a new means of you developing the population and the growth of our numbers? Which is a
Yeah,
very good question, because
yeah,
considering, you see, here's it, and I'm going to let you continue. Here's it. When you don't give us information about things that you have, and you make certain statements, and then we hear about other things, our minds jump to all kind of crazy conclusions because you never told us, and we wonder why you never told us, and now we're hearing this and that, and we're wondering, oh, so I wonder if you understand. Go ahead.
yeah, yeah. Okay, Quinn, allow me, right, to make a half a step backwards, right,
Yes.
and like you advised me of the issue that I had a couple of days ago. Don't to let it consume me, right?
Yes.
But allow me to revisit part of what I said, right?
Yes.
Part of what I said was to improve on the foreign ministry. And Quinn, I made that statements or utterances or suggestions right before America went into Venezuela.
Yes.
So basically speaking, don't just take what I'm saying on the surface. My comments was I was I was ahead of the game. No doubt about it. In light of what happened in Venezuela, the premier of Nevis, I'm calling on him this morning to put the brakes on that Destiny project. Anybody that's hearing my voice this morning, they can relate this message straight to the premier. Put the brakes on that Destiny project. Do not try to force that down the people's throats. Because, and then Quint, look at where we at with these third party deportees. We're gonna have to accept those persons based on what's going on with the American foreign immigration policies. They are saying if they don't take these deportees, they're gonna crimp our visa status for all of our citizens.
Yeah.
So
So
basically,
so
the
so
Trump administration intention is is to block us from coming to the United States
So
as long as
basically,
he is being president.
Burl, and I said that yesterday, our leaders need to be aware of what is happening. What Trump is
Yes,
doing, what the American leadership is doing, is making sure that they put you in a, I said it yesterday, they're going to put you out of their country. They're going to make sure that you're boxed into your own proximity. They're going to make life so hard for you that you're going to have to acquiesce to whatever they want, or they think so, right? That is their intention. But you don't have to. You understand? One of the main reasons why we might be forced to accept what the United States puts upon us is because we are not sufficient in food. We cannot feed ourselves. And when you cannot feed yourself, then you're at anyone's knees. You understand? But
and
if
this,
but if
yes,
you could have feed yourself, if we could have known that we could get our fruits and vegetables and other provisions and we could sustain ourselves, we could say to hell with you. But we can't say that now.
and I'm going to totally agree with you, Quinn. I am going to say this loud and clear on here. I'm not a perfect person, and I don't have all the answers, but I'm not with that status quo. Our system needs to be broken. It needs to change. We cannot continue on this trajectory. The status quo cannot remain. Think it's a Nevis need a new direction.
I agree.
We have our population is down. We had the money through that CDI program. They mismanaged that money. We could have already done probably self-sufficient in food already. But these politicians, they don't really care. They don't care.
But you
You know
see,
what I'm
you
saying?
see, you see, I agree with you that we need a different trajectory. But the trajectory again goes back to our leadership. Our leadership must stop thinking short term. Stop thinking about what you will get right now and how it will benefit you on the next election day. Think beyond that. Think how it will benefit us 10 years down the line. So when you bring these criminals in, recently, just this morning, I heard on the news the police said the crime rate is down, blah, blah, blah. When you bring into your, when you reintroduce in, or introduce into your country criminals from another place that they don't want, how is that going to play out over the next 20 years? These are the things our leaders must look at. And if they follow history, they know that historically, when these people take these prisoners and they say they're going to send them out, those prisoners have already made an agreement with the people who are sending them out. What is the agreement? Our leaders don't think like this, and history there documents it. History has shown that the CIA and other places have used people, put them into your society. 10 years down the line, you have problems, and then lo and behold, you realize these are the very same people who were put into your country. Why don't our leaders start looking long term?
Yeah, we don't want to accept our sisters and brothers, but we gonna accept somebody forcing some rejects on top of us.
We don't want to
And you ask
accept.
the question,
We don't want to accept poor, supposedly poor, struggling people, poor, struggling, honest people, but we want to accept criminal elements. And I don't care what kind of criminal elements. It's criminal elements, and not
I don't,
in.
I don't.
Yeah, go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
Go ahead. You
No,
go
you
ahead.
go ahead. Sorry. I
No.
don't buy into this notion of accepting these third party deportees. I don't sign on to that. I sign on to helping our Haitians and Haitian brothers and sisters. But see how fast things has happened within days. Antigua, for instance, Dominica, they already signed on to this stuff that quickly. And
No, no,
also,
they have not already signed on because, and this is why again you must listen because from the last I heard, which is up to this morning, I heard that the Antigua Prime Minister is saying to his people they have not signed on as yet. Whether that is truth or fact, I don't know, but that is what is in the media presently.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and they went and they went further to say not only have we not signed on, but we are not pushed, or we do not feel that we can be pressured or will be pressured into signing on. That is what they said.
Okay, I'm gonna pull that back, and I'm gonna say to you, I saw the Dominican Prime Minister. I saw him made a statement,
Yes.
said that he signed. He signed,
Well, if you saw,
and
and I'm
and,
go-
and also
and
I saw something from out of Antigua. The Prime Minister said he ditched Cuba. The part of the Antigua part with the third party deportees. I might probably put a hole on that part. But I saw the Antigua Prime Minister. He said he ditched in Cuba, and the Dominica Prime Minister said he signed on to the third party deportees coming out
Okay.
to their country, the Dominica.
Okay.
We could get some clarity with the Antigua Prime Minister if he really signed on or not.
Yes,
We
but
will get some clarity on
but
that part.
I want, Burl, I know you're not a perfect person, but I want you to try your best that now you're saying that you saw and heard the Dominican Prime Minister. I can't say
Yes,
that is
yes,
true or
I saw
false.
that.
But,
The,
but,
the, 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 the Antigua part, I'm going to put a stay on that until we can clarify that. Because
Yes.
I cannot state that I saw him say it.
yes.
But I saw the Dominican Prime Minister made that statement. I saw
Okay.
that.
Okay. And that is a valid point in terms of those two things where Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda have been two individuals who have been blocked from this visiting recently, right? Yes.
And yes,
Yes.
and also,
and go ahead.
go ahead. And also, quick, there's a popular blogger from the Federation. He had up some type of statement on his Facebook page, something that our foreign minister had put up, but the foreign minister pulled it back down. We're gonna get some clarity on that too.
Well,
at least
like
tomorrow at the
again,
round table.
again, be very careful about blogs and who blogs and
Yes.
remember you're speaking about a foreign minister, so you have to be very careful about character and not maligning someone's character. So this is why I keep saying to you, Burl, be very careful and be very precise. Do not just run with what you read on somebody's things, okay? But those points
Yeah, that's correct.
that point
I'm
that
not gonna run with it, but I'm gonna wait until tomorrow to hear the Prime Minister's presentation
okay,
on those issues.
but that point about Antigua and Dominica is a valid point, because here is it: the U.S. says because Antigua and Dominica were the two countries who said they wanted this to be a zone of peace and they did not agree with the American aggression. Then lo and behold, bam, their visa's status gets pulled, and next thing you know, bam, as you're stating, which I cannot validate, perhaps the Dominican leader has signed on to this. Then you hear Gaston in Antigua has said, well, we're going to discontinue association with the Cubans. Don't we see what is happening? Don't we see that our leaders are bowing, acquiescing?
Yeah, they're bowing. They're bowing. And I'm just going to say, in terms of going towards my wrapping up, I'm going to ask the Premier to put the brakes on that Destiny project, because the Prime Minister, right, I think there was an article about the Prime Minister setting up like a committee in relationship to the SSD law. I don't know if that committee is going to regulate the projects then that's going to come under the SSD law, or it's a committee where he's putting together to take a revisit, a look back at this SSD law again and examine it. We will get some clarity from the Prime Minister tomorrow in relationship to that.
Okay.
I don't know which. I saw that article, but in my interpretation, it seems like the article is saying he's going to take another look at it.
Yeah.
But I stand corrected. You know what I mean? And on the Nevis end, with all the kickbacks with that Destiny project, if the Premier think when I listen to the Premier, he make these statements that we have a robust democracy. But But if he goes forward and sign off on that project, I would disagree with him that our democracy is robust, because that means he would have gone against the voice of the people.
Well,
And I'll leave it there for now, man.
I'm gonna venture to say that I'm gonna give Mark Brantley the benefit of the doubt, because people hear me and people think I come here to be I can't even find the word, to put down people. I don't. I come and I assess things, and I say things from the perspective after my analysis. I'm not saying that Mark Brantley is a complete, monster or that kind of stuff. I question some of the things that he does. And in questioning them, I'm hoping that he listens not to me, but to the whole populace, and sits down and contemplates and then look at what is happening presently and then say, okay, well, look, at least let me pause on this and let's do a reassessment. That is what rational thinking people do. The people who go and do things just blatantly because they could do it are people who do not believe in a democracy, really. If you believe in a democracy, you let democracy do its work. Okay?
That's the point I made just now.
Yeah, so I'm due a commercial break. I'm way overdue a commercial break.
Okay, Craig, let me wrap up real quick, man, 30 seconds. In light of what happened over the weekend in Venezuela and the immigration policies out of the USA, definitely we're going to need our alliance. And I asked the Premier to, like you just said, put the brakes on that destiny thing and take a second look at it. Thanks a lot, man, and we'll leave it there.
Okay. And just before I take that commercial break, let me say, our leaders in the Caribbean, every one of them, need to do some reassessment now. They need to ask themselves, how important is unification? Is it relevant or is it not relevant? Do we continue, this has been said over and over, but the question then becomes, considering what is happening now, do we continue in this vein as individual countries? Because as we do that, this is why you find this one is forced to disassociate with the Cubans, that one is forced to accept prisoners. What else will you accept next? But you're only being forced into this because we are fragmented. If we were unified, and when I say unified, I mean the entire Caribbean region, including the Latin American countries, I hope that they have been getting their wake-up call. They have been trying to distance themselves from us of the darker persuasion because they have within their culture to better the race. And for them, bettering the race is to get as close to being looking white as possible. But you can get as close to looking white as you want to, but your history will not be erased. It cannot be erased. You've only reached where you've reached because of the infusion of that black blood into your culture. To deny it will be to your detriment, because everybody hates that black blood that is running through your vein. And if you think that looking a little whiter is going to save you, okay, I'm going to take that commercial break.
Found the sound 98.9 Win FM.
Don't throw those bottles away. Turn them into money today. Vitamalt bottles equal cash in your pocket. It's super easy. Just take those empty Vitamalt bottles to any Cara Brewery distribution truck or any drinks depot in St. Kitts and Nevis. We're keeping our beautiful Twin Island paradise clean. Vitamalt bottles equal cash back. Keep it clean. Keep it green. Vitamalt bottle returns. Your bottles, your cash, your island.
Campari. Red Passion. Embrace the mix.
Campari, red passion, full action, this is red passion. Embrace the mix, add Campari, make it turn and twist. Add your chaser in your drink. Campari, red passion, make the nicest mix. Campari.
Campari Red Passion. Embrace the mix. Must be 18 years or older to drink. Drink responsibly.
If you need protection, you need one who you can trust.
TDC Insurance is your go-to insurance company for all your insurance needs. We take pride in offering you the best solutions and ensuring our customers are fully satisfied. TDC Insurance, we take good care of you, guaranteeing you peace of mind. You're always safe with us.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. With our safe and secure payment checkout, you choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop
www.shoptdcgroup.com.
This April, TDC Home and Building Depot is turning green. Get 20% off energy-efficient and eco-friendly products from April 7th to 30th. Plus, during Earth Week, April 16th to 22nd, win energy-saving bulbs and reusable shopping bags. Join us for product demos and expert consultations. Make the switch. We're going reusable. Go green with TDC Home and Building Depot. Hurry in or visit us online today at shoptdcgroup.com. TDC. Together we succeed.
And I'm back with you. The time, 2 minutes moving away from the 9 o'clock hour. I have two clips I'm going to play. They're relating to Mayor Motley. And I've said it on numerous occasions, and I was waiting to hear something from her. Because, look, we're not perfect, but I really admire this woman. Because yesterday I spoke to something I heard from a female political perspective on Nevis, and I made some statements, and I'm going to play Mayor Motley to buttress the statements that I made. And the statement I made was that when you are a politician or aspiring to be a politician, it does not mean that we're sick and tired of these politicians who try to sidestep certain issues and pick and choose certain issues, okay? No. If governance and being a leader is about everything that comes on your plate. And everything that comes on your plate, you must deal with it. You must not be seen to be picking certain things that deal with your immediate proximity, but you don't want to touch things that deal with the external or the surrounding proximity, for instance, Europe and the United States of America. It is true you can't influence it to any great extent, but at least have a perspective on it. Let us hear you say something on it. So I'm going to play for you a statement from Mayor Motley just after they had gone and taken Maduro from his home, invaded Venezuela. It is a two-part because I don't want to make these things too long. So I'm going to play the first part and perhaps entertain a call and perhaps, speak a little on it and then play the second part. But here's the first part, and it's her speaking to the effects of what this invasion into Venezuela has done to our proximity and to Barbados, its tourism and so on and so forth.
The last 24 hours have proven to be exceedingly challenging. Just around 3 o'clock, I saw that we were having difficulties, and from then was in contact with other colleague heads of government as well as the Secretary General of CARICOM, and we had an urgent heads meeting. That meeting took place just after 5 o'clock. At that stage, we recognized it was too early a stage for us to make any defining comment. But where Barbados becomes affected is on a number of areas, and we would have said this previously, which is why we continue to assert that small states really can only survive in an international rules-based order. For us, we always said that conflict would have consequences, and many of you asked, what would those consequences be? What would they look like? Well, we're living them out today. It is fair to say that what we saw happen in Venezuela is uncharted territory. It is also fair to say that what we saw happen in Barbados must also become a thing of the past, and to that extent the law enforcement officers have also met with me, so that I am here for dual reasons today and not just one, but any one of the two would have been sufficient to bring me to address the people of this nation. With respect to Venezuela's and what is happening in Caracas and broader Venezuela, you are as aware of the statements being made by different players, from the President of the United States of America to the Secretary of State to others, just as we are. Actions taken in Venezuela, a number of disruptions took place, primarily with respect to our airspace, or planes coming from the US, I should say. There are 3 major areas in the region, Eastern and Southern Caribbean, and then one in Puerto Rico, 4 altogether in the Caribbean, that effectively manage the upper flight space. But as you would appreciate, Barbados is probably the biggest hub closest to Venezuela in terms of tourism, and therefore in terms of air flights and in terms of hotel accommodation and cruise accommodation, we would inevitably be affected.
Just a few questions from me quickly. I know you said it's still early days as it relates to a CARICOM position and statement. However, I am with hearing terms such as a reboot of the Monroe Doctrine coming back to play with this attack on Venezuela. What is Barbados' position on the actual event itself?
Let me be very clear, Colville. Venezuela is our friend. The United States of America is our friend. In fact, in both instances, we have family relations with both countries. By the same token, the Caribbean community has been the entity that we have chosen as a matter of first principles to align our foreign policy with. When the heads of government met, all of the persons were not there because it was an emergency. Having said that, I've been very clear that our principles are very, very clear, and that small states, and by small I don't only mean as small as Barbados, but much larger than Barbados, but still considered small. Small states can only survive in an international rules-based order, and that therefore anything that happens that runs contrary to that would be of grave concern to us as a people in Barbados, but equally as to the region. I just share with you the principles that mean a lot to us beyond the normal international law principles.
Question, Madam PM. You mentioned that basically no further escalation within Venezuela, the short-term impacts should likely pass quickly. What are the permutations as it relates to the potential long-term impacts on our tourism?
Colville, we simply don't know. For me to speculate and to conjecture anything now would be just simply that, conjecture. Can't do it. I ask you to allow the events of the next few days to play out. There are perspectives as to what has transpired in Venezuela that I suspect will continue to play out in the next few days. So I do not think that we are in a position to offer any meaningful commentary at this stage. What I can say is that we are dealing with the consequences of the conflict. And the consequences of the conflict have been exceedingly disruptive to both of our ports of entry, the Grantley Adams International Airport and the Bridgetown Port. And to that extent, there are human realities because those disruptions have meant that people have been affected, and not only wealthy people visit our nation, so that there are some people who will not be able to take care of themselves in the circumstances. We're trying to get to the bottom of it, and between the rooms that remain from the BHTA, as well as contingency plans that we have for other facilities, not just for today, but as you correctly said, should something happen again.
And man, I tell you, this woman is just remarkable. This is how a mature politician uses diplomacy. When we listen to our leaders, we're hearing the first and foremost and resonating over and over, we're friends with America. America is our friend. We have to be. She said the same thing. She says America is our friend and Venezuela is our friend. But she also spoke to the negative impact it had on her society and the region. Our leaders aren't doing that. All they want to say is, America is our friend. As if though they're not speaking to us, they're speaking to America. They want America to hear, you're our friend, sir. You're our friend, master, sir. We're ready to bow, master, sir. We're ready to do whatever you want. But hear her. Diplomacy, tact. She says, small states will not survive unless you follow rules based on protecting the weak. Do you hear our male leaders doing this? This is why I say she is more manly than our men. And this is why I say sometimes when men do not lead, let a woman lead then. Because here's the fact. Women take the leadership role when men do not hold their position as leaders. You think most of the women want to be leaders? But they have to be leaders because most of the men don't want to take the reign of being men. And when you don't want to take the reign of being men, because a woman is the mother, the matriarch, she has to do what nature has designed her to do, and she will do it. Unfortunately, we do not see many women who are, people might question whether she is a woman. I say she is a woman. And see how she expresses herself eloquently, diplomatically. She says, here's what she's saying in a nutshell. America, you're our friend, but what you've done to us has not been good. It has disrupted our daily peaceful society. What is wrong with that? People only respect you when you stand for something. The reason why the United States will trample all over our various countries and territories and leaders is because they don't stand for anything. Hello, caller. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Quinn.
Yes.
Sorry to bum rush you so like this, man.
No, man, you're free to call in. You're free to call in as often as you wish. You know that.
Watch it. Thank you for that. Since nobody else is calling in, let me call in. And let me set it plain, straight and direct. Whenever I come on here and I talk, I'm going to accept responsibility for my utterances. And I'm gonna take responsibility if I'm wrong or my assessment is not correct at the moment. I'm going to accept responsibility for that. If someone point me in a different direction to correct my utterances, I will be thankful for that. The reason why I'm calling in, you checked me one time when I made some utterances about me and Motley. And I accept responsibility for that. And I can wheel and come again and adjust my narrative. We may have a view at a certain person or their opinions and whatever, but we can be mature about it too. Like you played that clip just now, and I'm going to give some credit because I know exactly why you played that clip. Is because you made those statements about that female politician, prospective politician on Nevis.
Yes.
When did you do that? Yes. When you did that? Yesterday?
Yesterday.
Okay. The listening audience must. I put the phrase on you, the master of the clips, because you bring the clips to support your utterances and your points and your views and your stance. Man, what you have asked about that politician over there, Nevis, is what me and Motley have did on that clip. She didn't back down from she's on that interview.
And I have a second, and remember, I haven't finished. There's a second part.
Part two, yeah.
Yeah.
There's part two. Part two.
Yeah.
You have asked that politician on Nevis to do exactly what me and Motley have done now. Give her views and perspective on that external events. Because you see, we're not really looking at the big picture, because I had once upon a time coined the phrase of the visas. And this is where it's at right now. I've made that utterances to one of my confidants several times in the past, and it came to fruition. The last part of what I want to say about some of the discussions here, Mia Motley gave an account to the external shocks that affected her country over the weekend. We depend on tourism. The flights them got canceled. The airspace had they canceled all the flights in the airspace. That external shock is what we got to pay attention to. You know, we so dependent on tourism. The flights them got stopped, and it potentially affected the cruise ships schedules.
The cruise ships and the planes too.
Yes, exactly. So when you ask the politician in Nevis to give her opinions and her views on what had transpired, you just wanted to get her take instead of her being,
Yeah, I don't want, and that is what I said. We do not want. I may be older, but I want our younger generation to make demands of our potential future politicians.
Candidate.
We do not want you to be hedging on things because it's touchy. We want you to find diplomatic ways of dealing with them because we live in a realistic world. Do not just feel it is convenient to pick on Mark Brantley, but you don't want to touch the federal government and you don't want to touch the external shocks. Touch everything. We're not saying be reckless, but we are saying be responsible and be diplomatic with it. That's what I'm saying. Hold a minute. There's another caller. Hello, caller.
Yes, morning.
Yes,
morning.
Good day.
You gonna let him finish? Or?
Finish your statement, Burl.
Okay, so quickly, Quinn, I am agreeing with you this morning here, and I'm happy that you can put this clip out, and part 2 is yet to come. And the last thing I may want to say is that the battle of the visas, right? When America restricts us to our local domicile, right? And we can't move like how we want to. And we don't get self-sufficient in food. You see what happened on the weekend? They took the switch and they turned off the flights and turned off the cruise ships. They can turn it on and off whenever they feel like.
Yeah,
so when
they're doing to us just what they have done to the Palestinians. Turn off their water when they want, turn off their electricity when they want. And these are things our leaders will try to tell us, they're not going to do that. We live in a modern world. Go ahead.
Guess what? So lastly, they could turn off the ships from coming in with them imported food on it. The ships coming in from Miami, they could turn that on and off. You see how they're blockading the oil of Venezuela? They can blockade the food coming out of Miami coming to us too.
Yeah.
So if we are restricted by the battle of the visas, and there is no ships coming in with food, and we are not self-sufficient in food locally, what do you think gonna happen to us? We potentially can stay there and starve.
We will
That's
starve.
What our leaders. That's what our leaders got to pay attention to. Why we have to invest in agriculture and bring that agriculture sector up to speed.
Yes.
And I'll leave it there, man. Thanks.
Okay.
I'll leave it there. Thanks a lot. And Happy New Year.
Oh, well, sorry, I cut you off there. Mr. McMahon, before you go, let me ask a favor of you. Would you mind if I play the second part of Motley's clip?
Sure.
Okay. I'm gonna do that. Let me play the second half.
President Trump did say that there may well be a second strike. We don't know. By the same token, we are hoping and praying that there will be a de-escalation of any such conflict, because, as I've said over and over, escalation and war, of conflict and war, does not serve anyone's interest. And Barbados has always held the position that where there can be dialogue, where there can be conversation, let us have it, and let us see where we can find a common place. The truth is that is why the UN system also exists, and I fully anticipate that they too will have to have a ventilation of these issues. But at the same time, irrespective of wherever you started in this argument, and the perspective as to who was right and who was wrong and who is not right, let us end up today saying we pray for no further escalation. In fact, we pray for de-escalation and we pray for dialogue. Persons will feel justified in a show of force. Persons will feel justified that they are acting in accordance with their law. Others will argue that it is a complete breach of international law. Whatever it is, we are saying, let us continue to call and pray for de-escalation and for the absence of conflict, because we are now facing firsthand how conflict can affect not just lives, but livelihoods in the southern and eastern Caribbean. And Barbados, to that extent, while we are not the closest to Venezuela, Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago are. Grenada and St. Vincent and Barbados are the next line of countries after Guyana and Trinidad and Tobago. But among those five, Barbados probably has the biggest logistics hub for tourism. So you now begin to understand why I speak and why I have been speaking in the terms that I have without necessarily getting in to matters that are too high for us.
Several countries calling for the UN Emergency Council to intervene, the Security Council to intervene. Do you support those calls, Prime Minister?
I've always said that where mature conversation can take place, it should take place. I am conscious that the United States has a view that they feel strongly about with respect to the impact on their citizens of the narco-trafficking war. As to whether this is the way to deal with it or not is capable of debate, for sure. At the same time, there are those who believe that this is, in fact, a blatant breach of the articles of the UN Charter. And to that extent, the one place that we should be having conversations, even if we accept the events of last night, our eyes are in the front of our head, not the back of our head. There are things that we do not know and that we cannot predict at this point in time. But suffice it to say that we will be guided by first principles. We will be guided first by the protection of lives and livelihoods. We will be guided by the first principles that support Barbados' right and other small states' rights to be able to be protected in an international rules-based order. By the same token, we are not naive, and we understand that where large powers contend, large powers very often will want to show testicular fortitude. And that testicular fortitude may have negative impact and implications for small countries such as ours. Quite frankly, I would have expected that the Security Council should have been meeting already to be able to ensure that there are at least guardrails put in place, even as we speak now, to ensure that there is no potential for this precedent to be abused in the future by other countries. You know this government, and you know this leadership, and you know that we will do the right things for the right reasons. What I'm not going to do is to speculate and to give news stories for the sake of it or to fill copy, because we are at a peculiarly dangerous moment in the world's affairs. You know, in 2018, when I first addressed the United Nations, I said then that this world looks too much like it did 100 years ago. Regrettably, I have come to rue the day that I made that comment, and we have gone from crisis to crisis. I do not know of any other similar time in my 60 years in this country where we have lurched from crisis to crisis to crisis to crisis. And that is why I say that sometimes if I am a little intolerant of those who want to play off the silly season as the place on which the playground should be, forgive me for not joining you on that playground, because I am now too consumed, and this government is too consumed with matters that even with every single ounce of energy, every single Barbadian, every single political party, we still do not have enough to fight through this. And I am now having to see how best we can perfect the art of walking in between the raindrops.
And I particularly love the way she ended it. She ended that by saying, I will now have to find a way to perfect the art of walking between the raindrops. She could not have put it more succinctly. And
brilliant of her.
And Mr. McMahon, I'm sure that you're smiling because a lot of what she said is what you have been saying.
Absolutely. Right. But first of all, when you spoke yesterday about JD,
yes.
I thought you were at first referring to JD Vance until, it became clearer later you were talking local,
Yes.
right? I didn't hear you from the beginning.
Yes.
What was her take essentially?
Well, when the moderator of the show tried to ask a certain questions relating to the federal government, she would try to sidestep him, and when he also tried to ask her about her perspective on what the United States did, she went as far as to say, well, I didn't vote for the United States government, so she sidestepped that too, right? But listen to Mayor Motley. You see the difference?
Yeah. There's an absolute difference. This sidestepping it's become a feature.
Yeah.
Of our politicians. That's how they deal with problems. It's almost like an ostrich-like.
Yeah, syndrome. Yeah, push your head in the sand, while the rest of your body remains exposed. Have I lost you? Seem as if though I had. Well, I didn't cut you off. That's on your end there. So, Mr. McMahon, feel free to call back in. Hello, caller.
Morning, guys.
Good day.
How are you guys this morning?
Fine, thank you. And you?
Good morning, Mr. McMahon. I'm good.
Yeah. We lost Mr. McMahon. I assume he's going to call back in, right? You go ahead.
Okay. No, Quint, I've been listening, right? And what's going on, right? Now, this thing with start with bringing in these deportees into our country. No. Do we really want this to come into our country? Quint, you don't know what kind of criminal elements, let me tell you, they bring these people into the country. You'll see some things that you develop in your country that you never have before,
That is what I was saying. It is, just look over time and you see, I specifically said, I listened to the news this morning, our police has said that the crime rate is going down. But if we bring in these individuals, it's going to over time start building back up. And then who are we going to turn to? You think if they don't want them now, we're going to be able to throw our hands up and say, well, okay, we signed an agreement with you. Take them back?
But Quint, my thing is, right, the people of the country are just too laid back. We know who the politicians are already. We know they have no backbone. We know the men, they don't have no testicles. we already know
Remember, I'm a man, okay? So.
Well, Quint, you're not a politician. We know who they be. And the people of the country is just too, because in just reading an article, I don't know, listening to what they supposedly that Douglas say, about the small Caribbean island, let us prove ourselves and how we are known to be generous people. And one rhetoric, like come on, the people them need to rise up, stand up. It's time for the people to hit the street. When I look at how they storm the street for carnival, you can't see the ground. But when it comes to serious topics like these, we're going to affect their livelihood for God knows how long.
Well, Mr. Marisha,
you can't find them.
When I went over at the end of the year and I was sitting with my aunt and we watched, and for the first time I actually saw who Mr. Marisha, how he looked, and he made a statement. He said, you sit down and continue to take this lightly. One of these days in the future, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize all that you took for granted, you've lost it. And I concur with that statement.
But that is what's happening, because I saw a post where they put out the numbers of how much citizen by investment have been sold. And Quentin, they seem to outnumber us.
Well, we expected that.
So what happens if these people decide tomorrow, I am come take over St. Kitts Nevis? What's going to happen to us, Quint?
Well, it is true that all of them aren't going to do that simultaneously, but if a number of them decided to do that, what can we do? They're citizens, are they not?
But listen, this thing, I think they need to pull back and stop selling our passports. Pull back on that.
I agree. This was never supposed to be a means of buttressing your GDP.
Because at the end of the day, right, what have we gained for it? What do we have to show for it? Nothing. Zero. Our country is not no more developed. We don't have no big infrastructure. We don't have no nothing.
And that is what they were supposed to be doing. But because this
Exactly.
because this is an easy way, sit down behind a desk and sign and sign and sign, they reneged on what they were supposed to be doing. Now recently I heard Mr. Mark Brantley and he was speaking. I was saying to myself, I wonder if he got a epiphany and he decided he's gonna go to do what he was elected to do, or if he's just giving rhetoric. Because you hear him saying, you know, we're going to develop infrastructure, we're going to build homes, we're going to do. That is what you were supposed to be doing all along.
With these politicians, you got to, when they say something, you have to just laugh it off sometimes. Take it with a grain of salt, because half the time it's just nothing but pure politicking. And I love what Mayor Martley say. I mean, you see, she pointed out the effect that this took on her country and her people.
Yes.
Where is our leaders telling us the effect that it have on our country, our people? They don't care nothing about us.
That's what I'm saying. Mayor Motley is making it clear that you affected our tourism. We depend on our tourism, and we do not want to see this happening. We do not want to see this happening ever again, and this president must not continue. She was emphatic.
Exactly. And again, this thing about where we have this, it seems like the people feel like if you can't come to America,
the world,
you're doomed.
the world
ends.
The world ends for you. Yeah.
I mean, so what are you gonna do? Because you want to come to America, because you're afraid that they take away your visa, you just fall in line in everything this demon wants you to do?
Yeah.
You just go on with everything? Nonsense.
I mean, I use myself as an example. I grew up in the U.S. Virgin Islands, which you're aware of that. And I had my mother ask me if I wanted to naturalize, get citizenship. I said no. The last I had a visa, a 10-year visa, and I only used it once, and that was the one time when I had to go back, unfortunately, to the U.S. Virgin Island to see my younger brother get buried after he was shot. You understand? I never want. Look, let me tell you, I knew within my bones that if I had gone to live in the United States, I wouldn't be alive today. I knew it.
Well, thank God for that instinct. We have you today to talk to.
Well, thank you. Well, we have another caller waiting. I don't know if it's
all right,
Mr.
I'll continue listening.
Yes, okay. Mr. McMahon, is that you back?
No, Clint.
Okay, go ahead, Greg.
Yes, and like I would love to say, as usual, greetings in Jesus Christ's name, the only Savior of sinners from their sins and from hell, by the gospel only, through faith only, and the second person of the eternal Trinity. And also we need to become a republic as quickly as possible and get to the British Commonwealth as quickly as possible. And at least in one way, I think the better it will be for us, at least in one way. Now, Clint, I would like to quickly address 3 points. The first one to do with Johnny, the second one to do with the asking us to take prisoners, and the last one, Venezuela.
Go ahead.
Now, quickly, the first one with Johnny, and I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible. God, who created us all, have the right to kill us anytime he wants to destroy us anytime he wants to, and make it worse, we are so disobedient to him. And even the smallest sin against God is cosmic treason, deserving of death. The smallest sin, let alone we continually sinning against him. And the Bible, God used the ancient Jews to give us the scriptures. The Europeans and other people, Africans and so on, they gave us imperfect translations of the scriptures. But it was the ancient Jews who God used to give us the Holy Scriptures, not the Europeans, Africans, or anybody else. The ancient Jews.
Where were the
Where
were the ancient Jews from?
Well, they came from Abraham, who was...
I want you to give me proximity. You said not the Europeans and not the Africans. So
Right.
where did the Jews come from?
Well, they came from Mesopotamia, you could say, via Abraham, because Abraham lived in Mesopotamia.
Where was Mesopotamia? I want you to give me proximity.
It's somewhere around Iran, Iraq area. Somewhere around Iran, Iraq area. That's where the area is from. That's where Abraham came from, and the Jews came from out of Abraham.
Yeah, I asked you, but I asked you that because I want people who are students of history to listen to your statements, because we who are students of history, we know otherwise. But go ahead. So that's your first.
Yeah.
Go on.
Yes, that's my first, according to the Bible. Now, my second now concerning the America, Europe, whoever want us to take their criminal citizens, okay? And like I said, my answers are all rooted in the scriptures. Now, the Bible tells us how government ought to operate and tells us the duties that God has limited government to. And like in Romans chapter 13 and so on. And we do not see anywhere there where God tell any government to institute immigration laws. God intend for us to be traveling freely from country to country, from areas to areas within the whole world. All of these immigration laws and barriers and so are contrary to the word of God. Okay?
So let me ask you this then, because you're kind of hedging, and I want you to be considering what you just stated, are you saying that the criminals, we don't have to negotiate them, they could just put them on a plane and send them here, because you're saying it shouldn't be a matter of
exactly. That is exactly what I'm saying. I was about to say.
So you're saying that these criminals, they should take them, put them on a plane, and send them here.
What I am saying is that we should not be putting up any barriers for anybody, be the criminals them, even if they set them and send them on a plane. We should not be setting up any barriers.
So having said that, why should we allow them to just take them and put them on a plane and send them here and not keep them where they are?
And that because it is the biblical thing to do.
So it's a biblical thing for you to nurture criminals in your society, let them develop to be criminals, and then take them and put them on a plane and ship them to another country?
No, what they're doing is against the Bible, because you should not force people out of your country. So what they're doing is against the Bible.
So this is why, Greg, I've said to you on numerous occasions, you're a very intelligent person. I said to you, listen to what I say or people say, and bring it to us in a perspective. I understand you're going to bring the Bible narrative. We all understand that, but we're saying bring it to us in a rational way, that I do not have to be asking you questions to make it clear. Because you made a statement and I have to ask you one question about shipping them here. You said, yes, that is right. Then I have to ask you another question as to why should they be shipped here when they nurtured them and created them in their proximity. And now you're saying, I'm saying bring that clear to us.
Yes, of course, I would answer all the question. Matthew, there's some things that I may overlook to say and only would come to me via questions asked, because I don't think of all the aspects at hand to address all the aspects at hand, and so therefore I may overlook some aspect, and only when I'm asked questions I may say, okay, yes.
I take that.
On this issue.
That makes sense. So now go ahead and explain why criminals nurtured and created in one proximity should or should not be put on a plane from there to here. You go ahead.
Okay, number one, deportation of people from your country. And in this case, it will be deportation from America or Europe or wherever to St. Kitts. Deportation of people from your country is unbiblical. So what they're doing is unbiblical in deporting people from their countries, okay? Number two, we also will compound that wrong.
No. Here's where you're going to go wrong. Because if they did not choose to deport them, we would not be faced with whether or not we have to accept them. So if they adhered to the first one, we wouldn't have to be accepting them.
Yeah, but I'm saying since they choose in disobedience
But here's what you're
to the Bible,
saying. Here's what you're saying. You're saying sin is wrong. You're saying sin is wrong. So sin is wrong, and over there, sin was created. But now they want to transport sin from over there to over here, and even though it is wrong for them to create sin, it is right for them to transport that sin from over there to over here, and we must accept that sin. That is what you're saying, you know.
No, what I am saying is that they commit the sin in whatever country they're in, that they're being deported from, okay? People committing sin in whatever country does not give you the right to block them from coming to your country.
But I asked you the question, and I'm going to repeat.
The means by which it is done, yes, is wrong.
No, Greg, again, let me put that question in context. You like to speak about context. Again, I ask you specifically. We're dealing with sin. Sin is wrong. You will not dispute that. Huh? We're dealing with sin. We're dealing with sin. Because people commit sin.
Sin and people.
Yes. So don't try to hedge with me, because remember, we're two brilliant minds here, okay? So sin is created over there, and you're saying it is right for you to take that sin from over. Sin, I'm putting the emphasis on, you know. It is right for you to take that sin from over there and ship it over to another place to contaminate an innocent set of people. That is what you're saying.
No, you are not deporting a sinner. No. The sin is in the country where they committed. You are deporting a person who committed a sin in your country.
Yes, so you're
deporting. Not the sin.
But
the sin is still in your country.
That person,
look, in your
but that person, you see, you don't try to hedge. That person,
no, but I'm
look,
saying how it is.
That sin could not have been created without the person. It took the person.
Yeah, but it was committed in that country.
Yes, but now you're saying that it is right for them to take that same person with the potential to produce that sin and put it over here in an innocent place with that same individual to reproduce the sin again.
Well, the Bible issue dealing with that is that if this person come into your country now and reproduce that sin, the Bible shows you how to deal with those people.
But
deportation is not one of them.
So when the Bible says,
them from coming to your country is not one of them either.
So when the Bible, this is where you all speak a whole lot of nonsense and call it religion. So when the Bible says, if your right hand offend you, cut it off. What does it mean? It means that if you know there's a potential of something to create danger, desist from dealing with it. But you're saying there's a potential of an individual to commit a crime, has committed a crime there, and that crime is not wanting to be accepted over there by their own people, but they have a right to put it over there because the Bible says you can't block the person. You can't block the person who committed the sin. Bring them over here. And when they create the sin over here, knowing fully well they have the potential to create the sin over here. When the sin is created over here, do you realize that some of the things that these people are capable of we have not seen in our little naive societies? How are we going to be, if they cannot deal with those elements in their proximity to the point where they don't want to accept it, why are we accepting it here? Nonsense. Complete nonsense you people bring and tell us it is religion and it is Christianity and you expect us to take that and regurgitate it? Not me.
What I'm saying, Quint, this is the Bible we are dealing with.
That is your interpretation of the Bible way. Put it that way.
I would like anybody to show. In the scripture called about cutting off your right hand and the sort of if it offend you, that is speaking about whatever is causing you to sin. Whatever is causing you to sin, cut it off, avoid it. Whatever is causing you to sin. Okay.
Well, that is what I said.
It's not applicable to immigration.
But that is what I said. It is applicable because just what you just said, if there's a potential of those individuals who created sin over there and they want to cut them off, that's what they're doing over there, you know. They're cutting them off from over there, but they're sending them over here. But we don't have a right to say we don't want that. We must accept it. And then when we try to cut it off, who do we send it to? When we are little small countries who we can't tell them to take them back. We have already signed an agreement. Anyway, what's your third point? Because look, we have already exhausted that second point, which is moot as far as I'm concerned. So go to your third point, please. Which is Venezuela.
There was something you missed from that second point that I would have just like to quickly say.
Okay, go ahead.
Just quickly say. For example, if somebody commit murder, the biblical way to deal with that is to publicly execute them. The biblical way to do that is to make them make restitution by paying twice or more of what they stole, that sort of stuff. That is how you deal with criminals, biblically, okay? Now, the third point concerning the Venezuela issue, and I have said it before, okay, is that, we can argue as we feel like, we can cuss as we feel like, and that sort of stuff, but if we do not biblically repent and do things the Bible way, obey the Bible, God will deal with us, and He deals with us in many ways. Sometimes He sends natural disasters, diseases, countries against you, that sort of stuff, or it might be a combination of different factors. He deals with us in so many ways because of our disobedience. Venezuela, just like us and others, our hope only is in the Holy Scriptures, obeying the Holy Scriptures. And what the Bible says, God is bigger than America. God is bigger than all of us, the whole world put together. And if we obey the Word of God, He tells us the prayer of the righteous accomplishes much before God.
So how is it? So how is it that, following your argument, that for 400 years this God sees fit to make sure that the poor and the weak and the humble continue suffering and the mighty continue to prosper?
Well, we see throughout history that God do turn the tables, and God caused big mighty empires to arise and to fall because of their disobedience to the Word of God. Many mighty empires in history.
Well, I
and
disagree.
America will be no exception.
And
Venezuela will be no exception.
I hear what you're saying, and I do not disagree with part of that, but I disagree that we should sit down and wait after 400 years and still be waiting for changes to be made. When we as a people can sit together, communicate together, unite together to make differences. That is the problem. The mighty keeps us fragmented, and even though we are the majority, we are the majority. The mighty cannot survive without the majority. They need the majority to do every aspect, the business, the manufacturing, everything. But we as the mighty we as the weak and the poor are so fragmented and so ingrained in their propaganda that we continue for 400 years and counting to remain docile.
No, Quinn, let me say this. I believe during slavery, when black people was turning more and more to Jesus Christ and praying more and more to God, that God sent abolitionists, revolutionaries, and
okay.
to help end slavery.
I hear that. So your third point was Venezuela, and you have already expressed on that, right?
Right.
Okay.
Well, to a certain extent. Not to 100%, but to a certain extent.
But finish your extent because it's going to be very much the same or same. Go ahead.
No, it's not possible to finish it, but I could only say pieces. I only could say
Okay,
pieces.
well,
and
finish
let me say quickly to add to thing it all up. The reason why, again, I think we are seeing so many suffering among blacks as well as other cultures, but simply blacks, because I think we were making great strides the closer we were to Jesus Christ. But I think the reason why we are seeing so many fragmentation and so many negatives in our community now is because we are turning more and more away from obeying the Bible. And as we do that, we are seeing more and more confusion and negative things in our black communities because of God's wrath now coming on us because of our disobedience to the Holy Scriptures.
Okay.
Okay, Quinn. We need to biblically repent, and we will see the blessings of God more and more on our communities, lives, etc., as we obey the Bible through biblical repentance. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to take a bit of a commercial break, and I'll be right back.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
This Christmas, add postpaid for a festive win-win. We're gifting you a 50-inch smart TV or a $400 Amazon gift card. When you add a Flow postpaid mobile plan to your home internet, you can celebrate the most wonderful time of the year with a big screen or big shopping. Let us upsize your TV or clear your Amazon cart. Either way, you come out on top. Add postpaid to internet today for your festive win-win. Visit discoverflow.co for more info. Terms and conditions apply.
Come, build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers. We don't just sell materials, we help you build your dreams. Whether it's a new home, a renovation, or a DIY project, we're here to make it happen. That's why we say, build with us. From foundation to finish, come to our stores where we have the best in building materials, hardware, tools, paints, expert advice, and more. Whatever you need, you can count on us. So if you're ready to get started, build with us. With Hostels Building and Nevis Centers, you're not just building a structure, you're building a future. Let us help you create something amazing. Dream with us, plan with us, grow with us, build with us. Come build with us at Hostels Building and Nevis Centers today. Build with us at Hostels.
What are you doing? She said, drink a rude boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, she said, drink a rude boy, I will do the work. You don't have to wind up yourself. You don't have to wind up yourself. Oh, cause when we out and we active, living we life. So when we drink, we be drinking. Rude boy. So when we drink, we be drinking. Rude boy. Oh, Miss Lady, anyway you see we are we building up our vibes. So when we drink, we be drinking. Rude boy. So when we drink, we be drinking. Rude boy. Why?
And I'm back with you. Let me see if I can go to the phone lines. Hello, caller. Hello, good day.
Yes, good day.
Well, I didn't drop you. That happened on your end because I don't know what really happened.
Yeah. No, clear knocked me out.
Cleo?
Because I think we call on the same line. But anyway,
okay.
I don't know what happened either, to be quite honest.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'd just like to mention to Greg that fasting and praying don't work in every situation. You know, God help those that help themselves.
That's it.
Right? So you better have a plan.
You better have a plan.
Yes. But while I was talking about Motley's approach and how it's so different from a lot of other leaders.
Yes.
One thing I've noticed, not just now, it's in the past as well, that somehow our leaders feel that, well, most people don't follow regional and international affairs.
Yes.
And don't know the nuances and all the twists and turns.
Yeah.
and don't know how to handle going between the raindrops.
You know,
as
I love the way she put that, because
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, that was
that
brilliant,
is almost an impossibility. Boy,
Yeah.
that was brilliant.
Yes, you know, that's me for you. But you know, it's almost as they're just dismissing us.
Yeah.
Okay, and they may be right in to a certain extent, right? That a lot of our people get distracted by a lot of other different things. You know, the difficulty of everyday maneuvering through everyday, working paycheck to paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck, and those kinds of things, or even just partying, right? That they don't really look at things like these, and so the leaders just ignore those things when it comes to talking to our people.
But
right?
when
And
they
that's
ignore,
really unfortunate.
That's it. But when they ignore them, don't remember again, they are leaders. So when they ignore them, and down the line we see that we wind up in a quandary.
Yes.
You understand why?
Right. That's the point. That's the point Motley was making.
Yeah.
That these things have consequences for us.
That's it.
So you may ignore them now, but what happens later down the road?
Yeah.
Okay. And if we don't know the consequences of these things, if we can't interpret them correctly, one, we don't know how to handle them when the consequences come.
All right. Yeah.
Right. And secondly, our people are more likely to take it out on the leaders.
Yeah.
Because they're going to blame them.
Yeah.
And they're going to blame them because they have not come out and explained exactly what is happening and how we're going to be impacted.
Yeah. And you notice how she did it. She not only explained that this was unfortunate and this happened to us and this curtailed, she also goes further to reassure the people that they're going to be working to make sure that this president does not continue if they can help it.
At least you should have a plan to deal with the implications of the president.
Yeah.
Or what the president.
The president, yeah.
Yeah, right. Okay, the president that this has created.
Yeah, and you spoke to it, you know. When I'm going to always remember when you came on yesterday. Yesterday it was, right? And your first day before, whenever, and you said the first statement was, "Look, we're living in a different world."
Yes, absolutely. I mean, there's no question about it. And by the way, the U.S. sees another tanker. Or is in the process of seizing another tanker. So this thing isn't over.
That's what we were saying yesterday. It shows that. But we heard Marco Rubio saying we have this embargo on their oil and they're not going to be able to do any oil until they acquiesce. So it shows you this is an ongoing thing. I've said it, and look, it's sad, you know. These people want to create in our proximity what they have done in the Middle East.
And that is dangerous. That is
dangerous, and it's dangerous,
and it's more than dangerous. That's frightening
and it's dangerous to them too, and it's dangerous to them too. You know, it's dangerous to them too. You know.
The thing is, right? They have the handle.
Yeah, but when I say it's dangerous to them, do you think it is wise for any American leader to bring chaos and mayhem into their backyard? Now, when you think
that's what they're trying to avoid.
But right? How are you avoiding it when you've done this one and you're now saying Cuba is going to be next, and you know Cuba, of all the places, you know Cuba is not going to acquiesce. So, and then you're talking about Colombia next and Green.
Look, you see, I've been studying what has happened over the past couple of days, right? It wasn't just a weekend event and it's done, right? And it now all comes together for me, right? I remember I was in the States. I had gone up. I was living up there for a while, and during that time, okay, I got to see how ordinary Americans really think.
Yes.
Not to the eyes of the press and so on, which can be skewed.
Yes.
Okay? But working with and among them, right? And one thing stood out for me. They were frightened at the prospect of the United States, the demography of the United States changing, changing to the point that whites are no longer majority.
Yes.
I could sense that it was terrifying for them.
That is a fact.
You know,
that is
and
a
so
historical fact.
It was therefore no surprise that a lot of them clung to the Trump's mantra of "Let's make America great again."
Yes.
Right. There was a nostalgia for the past.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that governed what has happened since then.
Yes.
Which explains why Trump got reelected. It explains a lot of things. Okay? Trump's view now, I think, and then back then too, because I remember when he said things, we used to laugh when he said things like, why don't we get these immigrants from these SO countries? Why don't we get more people from Norway?
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
I mean, we laughed at it.
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Well,
and I'm sure you didn't either.
A lot of no, right.
Yeah.
But a lot of people laugh at a lot of things Donald Trump said.
Yes.
But the thing with Trump is that he follows through on what he believes.
Yeah.
More so than a lot of other presidents. A lot of other presidents would say, well, look at implications, the long-term implications of what I'm going to do. But not him. You know, he follows through.
Yeah.
And so it's no surprise that we are in this state now where he is going to, and it's not just stopping people coming through the borders. It's now going through the usual immigration process.
Yeah.
You notice? The legal one.
Yeah.
So don't think that, well, I'm not going to go to the United States via Mexico or anywhere like that. I am going via the regular routes, visas, and whether student or otherwise, right? Even that is going to be curtailed because he has a vision of what he wants America to be. Generally speaking, in the States, they have this idea that anything south of the United States is inferior.
Yeah.
Right? Unfortunately, that's the opinion.
Yeah.
Okay? Neighbors are not.
That is why. That is why, and people may cringe when I say it. That is why, of some time I've been saying that the Latin Americans need to wake up and understand how they stand, because they have felt that that whitening their bloodline is their saving grace, but it's not going to happen.
But quite apart from that, you can see the Americans, the playbook, divide and rule.
Yeah.
You know, it's interesting that America was never really a colonizer of such, but they certainly have adopted the ways of colonizers.
Yeah, they have.
And so another thing that we saw coming was the fact that people were saying that the American empire, if you want to call it that, was going downhill.
Yes.
I think that's another thing that he was totally intent on reversing.
Yes.
Okay?
I agree.
And how are we going to do that? And how are you going to do that? Now, with what he's done in Venezuela and what he may do in other places, they are going to control 40, I think they said was 40% of the world's oil reserves.
Yeah.
That has underlying implications. You know, that's an empire in itself. Okay?
But that again is something.
And not only that, what they've said today is that they're going to get, I think it's 40 to 50 billion barrels of oil. Venezuela is going to give it to them.
But you notice, Mr. McMahon, that after they have taken out Mr. Maduro, that the rhetoric is now about wealth and oil. And did you see that interview?
Nothing about democracy at all now.
Not only democracy, nothing about the drugs and this and that. Did you see that interview on Air Force One?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You saw those other two. You saw those other two individuals with him. Did you see the entire thing? And you see how they're nodding their heads and saying, well, I mean, when you see that, you see undeniably what they are about.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not just how they feel; it's what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because in other words, and even the Europeans are now waking up to the fact that
they were used.
United States ain't really.
They were used.
Because, we got to look after ourselves. Right? And not only that, it almost sounds like extortion. What they seem like they're trying to do in Venezuela.
But it is.
Oil money is going to pay for all of this build-up and everything. Just like how, when they went into Iraq, I think they got the Gulf states and so on to help. To pay for the adventure.
Hold a second there. Hello, caller.
Yeah, Quint, it's me again. I'd like to say something very quickly in correction to Mr. McMahon. Mr. McMahon, I did not say just prayer only. I said the prayer of a righteous man availeth much. And if you want to know why the prayers of the churches and so are so weak, is because they're not serious about obeying the Bible. Yes, people can pray and fast and fast and fast and fast. But if it is not accompanied by a righteous life, obeying the word of God, is like a car without engine. It is just a shell. And that is most of what is going on today in the name of prayers and fasting.
Okay.
By people who are not serious in obeying the word of God. Churches who are not serious in obeying the word of God, and they first need to biblically repent in order for the prayers to accomplish much with God.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. McMahon. And Quinn, thank you.
Okay. Mr. McMahon, before you go ahead, I'm going to play a clip that buttress your last statement about Europe and its wake up. Hear this.
Now, here's where this stops being a trade story and becomes a constant.
No, let me go for. There's a one before that. Let me see. Yeah. Let me play this one.
While Donald Trump was busy posting on Truth Social about making Canada the 51st state and threatening Prime Minister Mark Carney with total economic destruction, something happened in Brussels that nobody in Washington saw coming. On January the 2nd, 2026, 4 major U.S. allies, Australia, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand, formally submitted applications to join the European Union's Safe Defense Program. The same exclusive club that just admitted Canada as its first non-European member 6 weeks ago, and according to leaked European Commission documents obtained by CNN, all 4 applications are expected to be approved by March 15th. This isn't about trade agreements or diplomatic ceremonies. This is about the systematic construction of a post-American security architecture that could reshape global power for the next 50 years. Here's what makes this moment unprecedented. When Canada joined SAFE in December 2025, most Washington analysts treated it as an isolated incident, a frustrated neighbor finding alternatives after years of Trump's threats and tariffs. But leaked documents from the European External Action Service tell a completely different story. According to sources familiar with the negotiations, European defense ministers have been quietly building what they're calling framework for allied non-EU partners, or FANEP, since August 2025. The goal? Create a permanent institutional structure that allows trusted democracies outside Europe to participate in European defense production, bypassing American systems entirely. Canada wasn't an exception. Canada was the proof of concept. And now that the model works, 4 more countries want in. The numbers here are staggering. SAFE currently manages 150 billion euros in defense financing for 27 European Union member states. But internal EU budget projections obtained by CNN show that if Australia, Japan, South Korea, and New Zealand are admitted, total program financing could expand to 340 billion euros by 2030. That's 340 billion in defense contracts, production partnerships, and technology sharing agreements that American companies will be completely locked out of. For context, U.S. defense exports to these 5 countries Canada, Australia, Japan, South Korea, New Zealand totaled $48 billion in 2024 alone. We're watching America's closest allies systematically replace their dependence on Washington with a European alternative, and it's happening faster than anyone predicted. So let's talk about what's actually in these applications, because the details matter. According to leaked submission documents reviewed by CNN, each of the 4 countries offered the European Union something Washington never could: long-term strategic predictability. Australia's application, submitted by Defense Minister Richard Marles on January 2nd, includes commitments to invest 34 billion Australian dollars into European defense manufacturing over the next decade. We're talking about joint production facilities for missiles, drone systems, and naval technology that would operate on European soil, but leverage Australian rare earth minerals and advanced materials expertise. Japan's proposal goes even further. Sources familiar with the application say Tokyo offered to establish 3 dedicated production centers in Poland, Romania, and Finland, specifically focused on precision electronics, semiconductor components for weapon systems, and autonomous vehicle technology. The price tag? $52 billion over 12 years, with Japanese firms taking minority stakes in European defense companies to ensure technology transfer flows both directions. South Korea's application might be the most aggressive. Leaked Ministry of Defense planning documents show Seoul proposing to build an entire artillery production complex in Eastern Europe, capable of manufacturing 500,000 shells annually, addressing Europe's most urgent ammunition shortage. South Korean defense contractors would operate the facilities under European regulatory oversight, with 60% of output reserved for EU member states and 40% available for export to other safe participants. The estimated investment? $18 billion, with production scheduled to begin by late 2027. And New Zealand, while smaller economically, is offering something equally valuable: access to Five Eyes intelligence sharing infrastructure. According to sources in Wellington, New Zealand's application includes provisions to extend certain intelligence protocols to European partners, effectively creating a bridge between the Five Eyes network and European security services without requiring formal U.S. approval. Here's what makes all of this legally possible. SAFE's founding treaty, signed in March 2024, includes Article 12, Paragraph 3, which allows non-EU participation if the applicant meets 3 criteria: democratic governance, commitment to European security objectives, and willingness to adopt EU defense procurement standards. Canada met those requirements. Now 4 more countries are arguing they qualify too. And according to leaked European Commission legal analysis obtained by CNN, there's no valid reason to reject them.
Yeah, so it seems as if though I lost Mr. McMahon. I don't know if it was when I engaged Greg and, inadvertently cut them both off. But the reason why I played that clip is to show and to strengthen what Mr. McMahon was saying in relation to Europe finally waking up and understanding that they have been used by the United States of America, and now the United States of America feel they are too heavy of a burden, and they are going to leave them on their own, and they have Russia to deal with, and they have the United States of America to deal with, and they do not have the best relations with Africa, from whence comes a lot of the mineral and oil and other, important things that they need. And so they're trying to readjust. The question is, how fast can they do it, and what will the impact be in the short term, moving into the long term, and does the United States of America care about what they're doing? I would venture to say that presently Mr. Trump does not care about what Europe is doing. But if Europe is successful in what they're doing, eventually in the long term, it's going to come back to haunt the United States of America. Because if you listen to the figures of the monies, the billions of dollars that is now being moved away from the American coffers and the American economy, and is now going to be pooled into a European economy and coffers, then that's a whole big, you know what they say, BS walks and money, BS talks and money walks, or BS walks and money talks, however it goes, right? But it's all in the finances, you understand? So one has got to be very, very careful.
Quinn.
Yeah.
Quinn, you see the problem is, right? Everybody have America, and we keep saying America is a friend. Our leaders and America, we are friend to America. They have America as friend, but America don't really have them as friends.
No, never
America
did.
look out for its own interest.
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
They look out for their own interest. Everybody wants to say America is a friend, but America, you may think America is your friend. America is for America. I mean, when you get to the bones, especially our pigmentation, white America don't want us. They don't like us, and we have to face reality.
Yeah.
Because I was listening to Greg's last statement, right? When he said that what he said. He went on to say that, like, literally saying black people are suffering because when black people turn away from God.
Yeah.
Well, wait, then white people not serve God. How come they not suffer?
That's what I ask him sometimes. For 400 years, we're doing all the suffering and they're doing so much evil, but God isn't turning on them. So we're supposed to wait. We're supposed to wait another 400 years for God to turn against them.
And that's why I serve God. I live for God. I'm a child of God. But that statement is like, we serving a partial God.
Yeah.
He's the white doing all the wrong. Look at what's going on. But they're getting away with it and been getting away with the wrong from ever since.
Yeah.
And we've been suffering from ever since. So wait. Only we want supposed to pay the price?
Yeah, that's it. That's what he's saying.
Because I went into a video, right? But he's a KKK.
Yeah.
This KKK preacher saying black people cannot be saved.
Yeah.
So in a nutshell, Greg is literally saying what this white man is saying. That's a very sad statement.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna let somebody else come in.
Okay. Hello, caller.
Good day, brother Chris.
Yeah. Hello.
How your day is going?
I'm okay. And you? All the best for the new year.
For the season, we don't say new year, we say season because Babylon falling. So that's what we say.
Okay.
No respect to your brother and good day to your listeners via radio and internet. But something is very troubling that we're not emphasizing and a clarity towards this whole craziness that we see raise up into our shores as a territory. Now, if we say we are unification in the CARICOM compass, how is it that we see only a few are making statements that are personally for their own gain instead of the service of our region? And to see how the Latin people them let this whole cook make an internal against a territorial integrity and elected president. Where are we standard of living where we're shining for safety?
Well, you see, the thing is that the Latin Americans, they had fooled themselves for a very long time. They felt that they were clear. They felt that just leave the black people to suffer. You know, the far we move from them, the better we are. So now they're getting their wake-up call.
Well, I would like to say today, it's time now, you people of this territory, stop with this backfighting, and let us unite to combat this whole racist American territory. Because it's not America. It's the globalists, them who looking to feel like the world is applied by their dominance, by greed and corruption.
Yeah.
And we are seeing it playing out in our face by these leaders who we call as Caribbean leaders. The team mere madly come move the level that we need to move. Unless we're not united, we're ready to stand against these charges here.
Yeah.
We're not ready. And we may looking for an individual leader to make a statement to make you feel like they're doing something well.
Well, hear this. I kind of agree with what you're saying, but if an individual doesn't come out and say and others join with that individual, we're getting nowhere. So far, who else we hear bold enough to make the statement that she's making? Even though I hear what you're saying, it is still isolated, but it's for the rest to jump on the bandwagon and be unified.
the one from Trinidad and Tobago, and even the Guyana president, newly elected, because they told them collude with the old cook called Donald Trump to come down here and do that, what they're doing to the people of Venezuela. It's time now we change his magnitude and start living for truth, justice, and righteousness, not fear.
Yeah.
Because I'm not living fear, you know. Because right now, whoever try these evil action against I, we're ready to stand up. You have a lovely day, yeah?
Yeah. Same to you. Yeah, and Mr. McMahon, sorry I couldn't, I inadvertently, this was on my end this time, I inadvertently cut you, but we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow, right? In the meantime, do take care, and my people, wherever you are in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, the wider Caribbean, the diaspora, be aware of what is happening. Hello, caller?
Yeah, Quince, me again.
I want you to be very brief, because this back and forth biblical thing, unless it ties into what is happening and says something different, it's becoming kind of unbearable, honestly.
Okay. Yes. When we look today at the Europe, America, Canada, you name them, that are predominantly white, the economies are deteriorating. The cost of living is going up. Unemployment in their countries is going up. They are suffering and will continue to suffer more and more for their destruction if they don't biblically repent. And not only that, a lot of their countries like in Eastern Europe and other places, even in America and that sort of stuff, you have a lot of white people suffering as well because of their disobedience to the word of God. It ain't just a black thing. It's an all over the world thing. And I'm going to tell you more. They're going to be destroyed as well if they don't biblically repent. God don't deal with everybody at the same time. He deals with one set of people some of the time, and then later on another set of people. And at times he decides to deal with everybody at the same time. But it is all God's doing in all God's time. Okay?
Okay.
So it ain't just a black thing. And when we were closer to God, we had black Wall Streets and those sort of stuff. And even when they came and burnt them down, like Tulsa and that sort of stuff, especially Tulsa, they were rebuilt in 2 to 3 years and even better. That's how God blessed us when we were closer to Him.
But who said we were closer to? Who said we were closer to God? That is you saying, because this is what you all do. As long as things go good in a certain way, you say God is in it. But when it goes bad, God is in it, right? And God is the most wicked person, and God is the most loving person. And so I mean,
we see through the pages when the people were obedient to God, especially the nation of Israel, but other in Nineveh and so, God withheld His judgment and blessed them. And when a people disobey the word of God, He bring His judgment and wrath on them. Doesn't matter the skin shade. And we see through the pages of the Bible, which is history, and we even see it today.
If you go to history and you look at the most powerful time, the most dominant race on the face of the earth during that period when those Egyptian pyramids and so on were built, nowhere in those hieroglyphics you see anything about Jesus Christ. Nowhere in there.
Yeah, but what people also realize, during the greatest time of all the empires, including the African empires, is when they were less sexually corrupt, when they were less evil and wicked, and as evilness and sexual immorality and all kind of sinful things became more predominant in their cultures, the empires fall.
That's what
Africa, Europe,
where you see that in history. Where do you see that in the history of Egypt at its pinnacle? Where do you see that in there? What documentation you get that from? Or is this just your imaginary conjecture?
No, because one time we listened to a program called Focus and the Family, and I think I read it in 1 or 2 other books, but that was years back, and that is what I read and heard.
Well, it is
okay. From anthropologists, historians, and that sort of stuff.
It is quite strange that you pick out. There's so much in history, so vast documentation that it will take you millennia to go back over them. But you pick out 1 or 2 that you hear from certain individuals, and I'm sure they're white persuasion. And if you look at even if you look at the Jesus period, right, the time of Jesus' existence and the crucifixion and that kind of so on and so forth, you find that wasn't that during the empire of Rome when you had Augustus Caesar and all of those there?
Yeah, when the empire of Rome rose, okay.
And I said that go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying, when the empire of Rome rose to prominence, that society was more sexually controlled and that sort of stuff. When they fell, that is when evilness became predominant with the Colosseums and the sexual immorality, homosexuality, and all that sort of stuff.
But that is Rome. That is why I use that example. That is Rome.
Yeah, but all the Europeans also said all the empires, including Egypt and the empire. When you saw the fall.
No.
Go ahead.
No. That is Rome. That is during the existence of the supposed existence of Jesus Christ and his crucifixion and so on and so forth. And history documents that yes, they had gone to degradation, homosexuality, immorality, blah 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 blah. But I'm asking you, where in the hieroglyphics have anyone deciphered that was the stage and the extent in Egypt and Africa at its pinnacle, at its zenith point? Nowhere you find that. That is what I'm saying.
Well, like I said, I have heard and read, for example, I named one program I've heard it on Focus on the Family, for example, that when even these African nations, at the greatest peak is when they were more morally controlled with the sexuality and all that sort of stuff. And as homosexuality and other sexual immorality and other sins became predominant in their empires,
that, my friend,
is when they fall.
That, my friend, is propaganda. Because even if you look at the history,
makes sense to me, though.
It gonna make sense to you. But even if you look at the history,
because it's biblical.
But listen, it is not biblical. Anyway, if you look at the history of Egypt and you look at the history of Africa, you do not find this dominant thing of homosexuality. But if you look back in the Roman Empire, you look back in the Grecian Empire, you look back at all of those European and those epochs and so forth, you find that it was so ingrained in them that their men, when their men went out and went to war and so forth, those men were having sexual relations with each other. You do not see that in our culture. You do not see that in our history. That is what I'm saying. But you choose to be choose to be ignorant of the facts. And you because you hate your own color and your own race, your own ethnicity, you've tried to dilute everything and lean towards them as opposed to towards you and your history. And your history that is brilliant, right? You don't want to accept that because of what? Because you accept and embrace Christianity. And Christianity does not embrace anything really to do with the black concept and the black ideology. When people say Christianity came out of Africa, that is a lie. It was in certain parts of Africa, but it was in certain part of Africa, not in the core of Africa, not in the major parts of Africa. African history shows that all of those different tribes and countries and so forth, they had different gods. And you, the European, and you choose to pick and call them pagans. You call them pagans, and then you push aside our culture and our history and impose yours on us. And after 400 years, we still can't get away from it.
Okay, Quint, I would ask anybody, go on Google and type in, did ancient Egypt have homosexuality? And let me read a little something from the AI overview. Yes, evidence suggests homosexuality existed and was recognized in ancient Egypt, appearing in mythical accounts, Horus and Set, tomb art.
Okay, hear this. Read back that again. Read back that again, and I want you to read it slowly. Go ahead. Start from the top.
Right. Yes. Evidence suggests.
No, I said read it from the top. Remember, don't come on. Read it from the top exactly the way you read it the first time.
Okay. First of all, I type in, did ancient
I want you to read. I want you to read what you said. Just what you.
And I'm going to read from the beginning. This is how the AI overview begins. Yes. Evidence suggests.
We're different. We're 90.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Yes. This is how it begins. Yes. Evidence suggests homosexuality existed and was recognized in ancient Egypt.
When you first started, I'm sure I heard the word appear, and now start back again. You're changing.
No. This is where appearing is going to come in. So let me read it, and you're going. The appearing came after, which I was just about to read. But let me start from the beginning again.
Remember, I'm a sharp brain here. You know, you can't. I have a very good memory. So go ahead.
Yes, let me read from the beginning again. Yes. Evidence suggests homosexuality existed and was recognized in ancient Egypt.
Stop there. Evidence suggests.
Yes, evidence suggests.
Okay, so continue appearing now. Go ahead.
Right. Appearing in mythical accounts.
Stop. Mythical.
Accounts.
Yes. You understand? You understand those two words that I just brought to you. You understand what they mean, what they suggest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go ahead.
Yes. Appearing in mythical accounts, Horus and Set, tomb at Nickel, Holom, and some kind of Hotep, and Texas, true, accepted, varied. And Texas true acceptance varied. It wasn't inherently criminalized.
Stop. Varied again. That's another word, right?
Yes.
Okay.
To different degrees.
Don't even go any further. Is mythical things historical facts?
If mythical things are historical facts?
Yes.
Normally there is some degree of truth. Normally not 100%. But normally, Normally they might be based on some degree of truth. Yes.
Some degree. You see, you're killing your own argument. I want facts because you say the Bible is about facts, and we have the words in the Bible. But I'm wanting you to bring facts, and you're telling me it appears, it seems to be. And from mythical, which is mythical, is if you're going to really use mythical in its context, is you can use propaganda in that propaganda, because mythics, if you understand what mythics mean, it means something that comes from the past that is not steeped in fact, but there is a vision that some of it may have existed before. So it's something that may have existed before and has come over time, and now this is how you present it. So you're killing your own argument. I want facts.
No, Quint, let me tell you how mythical things came up in the past.
Stop. And I'm going to end the program, because as long as you're going to use the word mythical, you're not saying anything to me.
Yeah, but they were dramatizing what was happening in the society at the time.
What is a drama?
A drama is the way things are going.
No, a drama is an fiction, like in a movie. A movie is a drama. It is a fictitious representation of something that has either been created.
In this case, what was going on in the society?
No, it cannot be. It cannot be what was happening when you use the word mythical. Anyway, look. This is why when Greg speaks, Greg just puts his foot in his mouth. Because he comes, and for us who have studied, who are students of history, We know, and we're very diplomatic when we're dealing with Greg. We don't want to always tell him outright that he's speaking utter nonsense, but we know that he's speaking utter nonsense. And here's it, I give him a chance to express himself and show that he's going to bring some facts. Because if you look back at the Roman history and the Grecian history, you can find facts. But he is using myths and trying to push it over as facts. My friends, I've come to the end of another program. Do take care. I'll see you tomorrow. Hopefully, Cartencia will be here.